Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Let's take a poem When You Are Old, which is written by W.B. Yeats. William Butler Yeats was his full name, and he was born on 13 June 1865 and died on 28 January 1939. Dear students, this is the poem which is addressed by the poet to his beloved. When you are old means when she is old. And the poet was an Anglo-Irish. Anglo-Irish means a person of English origin and living in Ireland. It means that. And dramatist means it was the poet who had written dramas, who had written plays, who had written poetry. And he studied poetry in his youth and was fascinated by Irish legend. And when he was young, he studied poetry and he was fascinated by Irish old stories and also by the supernatural forces. That is why he is famous for raising the ghosts. Yeats was an average student at school, but he emerged to be one of the greatest poets of English literature. Yeats was not a brilliant student, he was an average student, but he emerged to be one of the greatest poets of English literature. In the field of English literature, there were so many great poets. There were so many eminent poets. There were so many noted poets. And William Butler Yeats was one among them. He was one of the pivotal figures of 20th century literature. There were so many figures of 20th century literature, and William Butler Yeats was he was also important figure of this century, 20th century literature. He was born and educated in Dublin. It is a place where this famous poet was born, and from that place he had also got education. Yeats was a driving force behind the Irish literary revival. Driving force means motive force. It is because of his motive force that this kind of literature has been revived. And William Butler Yeats, along with Lady Gregory and Edward Martin, founded the Abbey Theatre. Abbey is the name of the theatre, and served as its chief during its early years. That you must know here, who served as its chief. Chief means the head, and he became the head. William Butler Yeats became the head of this theatre during its early years. In 1923, he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in the literature. Who was awarded? William Butler was awarded. And what kind of prize? Nobel Prize in the field of literature. Yeats is generally considered one of the few writers whose greatest works were completed after being awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. Such works include, that you must know, The Tower, 1928, and The Winding Stair, 1929. Yeats is pioneer of modern poetry. You must try to understand it. What means pioneer. Pioneer means he was the first to start writing modern poetry. Yeats was madly in love with Morgan, an Irish revolutionary who never responded to his love. Yeats' unrequited love finds expressions in many of his intensely emotional poems. Yeats was madly in love with Morgan. Morgan, dear friends, you must know, it is his beloved, and this is the poem which is addressed by the poet to his beloved Morgan. And how he loved his beloved. He loved madly. Madly means, dear friends, in an excited way, in an emotional way, he loved his beloved. But she has never accepted his love. She has never responded his love. It's unrequited love. Unrequited means it was one-sided love. Let's take the first stanza of this poem. When you are old and grey and full of sleep and nodding by the fire, take down this book and slowly read and dream of the soft look your eyes had once, and of their shadows deep. When you are old and grey and full of sleep. The poet imagines his beloved to be old and grey and full of sleep. Full of sleep means it indicates laziness and tiredness in her. old and grey. When she became old, her hair turned into white. And at that time she has lost all kind of beauty. The beauty of her eyes, the beauty of her hair. She has lost her physical appearance. And when you are old and grey and full of sleep, the poet imagines his beloved to be old and grey and full of sleep. And nodding by the fire, take down this book. And she will sit by the fireplace and she will feel very sad. And she is offered by the poet to take down this book. This book, you must know, dear friends, a book of his poems, which is written by the poet. And in this book, the poet has admired her beauty. And slowly read and dream of the soft look. And she should read this book of his poems slowly and dream of the soft look. And this book of his poems will remind of her past. This book of his poems will remind of her past beauty. Means when she was young, when she looked extremely beautiful. And this book of his poems will remind of her charming look, attractive look of her eyes had once, and of their shadows deep. Her eyes were deep, dark, and attractive. Let's take the second stanza of this poem. How many loved your moments of glad grace, and loved your beauty with love, false or true. But one man loved the pilgrim soul in you, and loved the sorrows of your changing face. How many loved your moments of the glad grace? Just you must try to understand what means moments of glad grace. Moments of glad grace means the time of youth, when she looked extremely beautiful. And it was not only the poet who loved his beloved, there were also others who loved her. And they loved only her beauty, they loved only her youth. When she became old, they were disappeared from her life. And loved your beauty with love, false or true. Their love could be false or true. Whose love? Means those, means the others. There are other people who loved his beloved. But one man loved the pilgrim soul in you. One man here refers the poet. And what kind of love he has for his beloved? He has a spiritual kind of love for his beloved. He loved the pilgrim soul. He loved the pure heart of Morgan. He loved from the core of his heart. He loved his beloved from the depth of his heart. He loved not only her moments of glad grace, but he also loved the sorrows of her changing face. It means, dear students, when she was young, she was extremely beautiful. And at that time, the poet loved her. When she became old, when her face was full of wrinkles, when her hair turned into grey, the poet also loved her. So we can say the poet has a spiritual kind of love. The poet has everlasting love for his beloved. The poet has eternal love for his beloved. And bending down beside the glowing baths, murmur a little sadly how love fled and pitched upon the mountains overhead and hid face amid a crowd of stars. And bending down beside the glowing bars. Dear students, you must try to understand what means glowing bars. Glowing bars means a fireplace. Glowing bars means a hearth, H-E-A-R-T-H. And the poet visualized a time when his beloved will be sitting near the fireplace, near the hearth, and it is his book of poems that will remind her of his true love. Murmur little sadly how love fled. Murmur means to speak softly, and she was very sad. She will feel very sad. How love fled. How love fled means, dear friends, when the poet is no more in this world, she will feel very sad, and she will remember his genuine love, true love of poet. how love fled. It means it is a poetic device which is called personification. Here love fled means personification. Personification means, dear students, any non-living thing shows human attributes. How love fled. Fled means flew away, and it is his soul that flew away over the mountains and hid face amid a crowd of stars. And his soul hid among a crowd of stars. Whose soul? The poet's soul. That is why she is feeling very sad when the poet is no more in this world. Now she is at this stage when she became old, she is going to remember the poet's love. Dear students, there are some more poetic devices which are used in this poem. The images are used by the poet in this poem. You must see in the first stanza the images which are used by the poet. Old and grey is the image. Full of sleep is the image. Nodding by the fire is the image. Soft look is the image. Now in the second stanza, moments of glad grace is the image. Pilgrim soul is the image. And the sorrows of your changing face, that is the image. And in the final stanza, glowing war is the image. Mountain is the image. A crowd of stars is the image. And one more poetic device that is used by the poet. Dear students, you must know, you must remember, this question is often said by the examiner. And what is the rhyme scheme of this poem? And in this poem there is a rhyme scheme and the rhyming words after each line of this stanza. The last word. Here in the first line of the last word of this means sleep, and the second word, the last word of the second line, book, and third line, look and deep. You have to see, dear students, the resembling sound, matching sound of these words. Sleep and book, they don't match. Book and look, they match, dear students. They have resembling sound. And sleep and deep have resembling sound. Dear students, how you are going to make a rhyme scheme? You have to give a name. Sleep, you have to write here A, and book, its sound does not match with sleep, so you write here B. Look, its sound matches with book, so we can again write here B. And deep, its sound matches with sleep, so we write here A. So the rhyme scheme of this poem is A, B, B, A. This is the rhyme scheme of this poem. Not only of this single stanza, but this is the rhyme scheme of this whole poem. Thank you.